So, Katana Zero is a really good game. At least most people seem to think so. But when I tried to play it a few years ago, I just couldn't get into it. But I really like getting achievements, so what if we tried to change that? Katana Zero is a 2D action game from 2019 that was developed by ASCII Soft and published by Devolver Digital. It has insanely good reviews, but I just couldn't get into it. The base concept of the game is you fight through levels of enemies, have meetings with your therapist slash employer slash hitman contractor, go to your apartment every night to hang out with some children where you have weird dreams, and then you have some interactions with some bosses, maybe some big fights that actually tend to be the easiest part of the game. But this is Achieve It or Not, and it's time to get going. So the game gets right into it with us ruining this random guard's day, dropping his friend on him, and then introduces us to this mechanic here where we deflect the bullet right back at him, which is our primary weapon in this game. Then we continue making our way down this alley until we get interrupted by a phone call from our employer that informs us the window of opportunity to take out our target is closing and we need to move extremely quickly. So naturally we jump right into clearing some of these rooms and we find ourselves a very nice cat to pet. But it's all action from there, so we gotta move on. We continue clearing some rooms until we make it all the way up to the contact we've been tasked to receive. We find that he's pretty beaten up, but the things he's been through might just be motivation enough to get him up and moving. But right when we're about to start this escort mission, we find that he keels over and explodes, which pans our camera down and introduces us to this blue-haired fella here who laughs at some Russian characters and walks away as he sends his boys in to come get us. So obviously his boys are no match for us, so we come back to our apartment, drink some tea, turn the TV on to show what we've done, and go back to sleep. However, in a kind of dream world here, we find that we're getting a prompt to throw a ball when a figure runs in and there's a machine and a monster? Anyway, we wake up and now we're in the therapist's office and we tell him about our experiences with the hallucinations, and he gives us some helpful insight as to what that might mean. But then, at the end of the session, as always, he gives us our shot and tells us it's about time we get back out on the field, and so our therapist recommends we pick up our dossier and go on ahead and check out our next victim, which is over at the Murder Hotel. Naturally, we get accosted at the front desk here about the peculiar way we dress, and we just say that we're just a cosplayer trying to get back to our room. And we happen to have a great excuse that we're from an anime where people play card games in a dystopian future. But that's crazy. Who would ever believe that? Well, she does, and as we learn the mechanic for being able to throw items here, we make our way through the hotel, where we come across our target, but we're a little slow on the kill, and he jumps off the building. But that's close enough to complete, I guess, and we can go ahead and move on. As we're leaving the hotel, we're stopped by some police that heard some gunshots inside the building, but our new anime friend covers for us, and we're just allowed to go. But as we return back to our apartment for the night, we bump into a child, which is really unusual here where we live in the 3rd District. There aren't many children around. But we go to sleep, we encounter our dream again. This time there's a scientist that's killed, but we wake up and go to our therapist where we cover some of the things about our dream. We get a little bit of information into our psyche, but after that we just take our shot as usual and it's time to go on our next mission, which this time sees us inside of a club where we can't actually interact with any of the guards that are moving around. We have to be pretty stealthy to get through. As soon as we get outside of the building of the target, we receive a phone call from our therapist advising us not to talk to the target at all. So being the good soldier that we are, we just decide to take him out, heed the word, do not speak to him at all, and hopefully we don't regret that. So after our target's dealt with, we have to escape, and then once we've done that, we receive some words from the great beyond that tell us our loyalty and strict compliance have been noted. We return back to our apartment and find that that same little girl from yesterday has been playing outside of our door and seems to have been waiting for us. But she says that something named Leviathan seems to be inside of our apartment. So we invite her in, nothing wrong with that, and we go ahead and look around, use this toy that she brought to try to find this Leviathan, and we end up checking inside of our couch here, and there it is. a Leviathan, some sort of big Loch Ness monster sea creature type thing that is in our house for some reason. Huh. Well, I guess all of this is probably fine, right? But we go back to our dream, we're playing catch, scientist runs in. This time the scientist is killed, and there appears to be another child that approaches the figure and is thrown into the machine. But we go to our therapist, we receive some information, discuss why he didn't want us interacting with our target Electrohead there, and we're just told he was a known drug dealer, and he really just wasn't worth our time. So we go on to our next mission, which is in a prison here, and we receive a call to make sure we do not harm anyone that doesn't absolutely need to be. So when we enter the prison, we're really shocked to find that all the guards are already dead, and when we get to our target, yep, he's been killed as well. So that's weird. But then we learn that the police have us surrounded and they're calling us Dragon. That's crazy. So we make our way outside of the prison, sneaking by all of the guards, don't kill a single one, as we were instructed. And then we receive some really great praise that we did an exemplary job. We didn't kill a single person we didn't have to, which doesn't really make a whole lot of sense when you consider all the guards that we didn't kill were already dead. But on our way home, we encounter this kind of vagrant old man kind of deal who accuses us of not supporting the war effort, and we maybe make a bad choice. We go ahead and take him out, and that's what you get for challenging us, I guess. Wasn't happy with this decision. But on our way back to the apartment this time, we actually find a suitcase out in the hallway, which is the prototype key we received for not killing any of the guards in the prison. Then we talk to the little girl here and find that someone's dropped off a videotape for us, which is weird. Anyway, we pop our videotape into the player, and we see that the guy with blue hair has broken into our neighbor's apartment and seems to be threatening them, firing a gun off into the ceiling, all kinds of crazy stuff. We skip a little forward into the video here, and we see that he's killed one neighbor and has tied the other one up. Really kind of an odd torture video. When we see him get stabbed by a needle that really resembles the one that we take pretty often, but that's probably a coincidence. Skipping ahead again here, we see that he's actually making this video speaking directly to us, the neighbor of these people. He seems to be a big fan of our work. And as we drift off to sleep, we get a little scene focusing on that apartment next to ours, and as we drift off to sleep, we go back into this dream world, but this time we're playing with Leviathan, and the soldier comes in, kills the scientist. We get down and hide, and this time the soldier figure seems to access this strange machine that's been here the whole time. When we get to our therapist's office today, we find that it's closed, so we just decide to go home, skip our kill for the day. But while walking down the street on our way, we get stopped by a big limo, and we're requested inside. So naturally, we go inside, and we see there he is, old blue hair, picking us up. We talk to him a little bit, and we see that he's remaking a wartime combat drug that seems to slow down time and make people able to see the future. But that's crazy, and we don't want any part of him, so he throws us out of our limo, but we've got to track him down and get some more out of that. We follow him to Studio 51, where we challenge him, and he tries to take us out, but we're just too quick for that. But he runs into the studio to go hide, and naturally, he pushes us, so we're not going to take that. When we track him down into the building, we find that he's locked himself behind a door that requires 3 keys. So we have to take this elevator up to one of these 3 sets to try to figure something out. We get the first blue key card here, and on our way out we encounter a weird coffin-headed fellow. Huh, weird. And that's our second achievement. After that we encounter a robot and pick up the second key here, which is yellow. On our way out, we talk to the robot, who is so overjoyed that we left him alive throughout this process that he just can't handle it. And he explodes and gives us our 3rd achievement of the run here. We go to the 3rd floor to get the final key. No special achievement on this one, sadly. But finally, we're allowed to enter the studio here to challenge this guy that's been giving us all of this trouble. And it's finally time for the showdown. Now, this fight actually took me a couple of tries to get down, but finally I figured out that the easiest way to get him here is when he's pulling out his gun. And we actually pop an achievement here, Beatdown, which is number 4 of the run, but I think that was a bug. I don't think I was supposed to get that here. But in any case, we encounter another samurai named Snow here that's come to stop us. We take our opportunity to escape, and we're just chilling at our house when we hear somebody knock on our door, and it's Halloween, and the little girl from down the hall is dressed like us. That's interesting. But we don't have any candy, so we get her a fish head. I think kids like that. That's also probably fine. We go to sleep as usual, but things seem to be a little different this time, and we see they are as we're awoken by 2 guys in gold and silver masks that refer to each other as Comedy and Tragedy, who have broken into our house and drugged our tea and are watching us as we sleep. And they inform us that in 3 days we're going to see them again, and we're going to have to make a choice between life and death, but that's not a problem for now. We wake up and we're immediately teleported to our therapist's office, which has never happened before as far as I'm aware. We're really confused about how we got here, and our therapist seems to be no help. He just wants to ask about our dream, but we don't remember telling him our dream. But then he gets a little hostile, and suddenly he's the guy with blue hair. And then we're trying to get into a room, but it keeps glitching. And then we're walking through a church thinking about the war. But then we're that homeless veteran guy that we killed before, and Comedy and Tragedy are in our place, and they're talking about how we've been on some drug and we're in withdrawal, and it's really all confusing at best. But the most horrific thing is next. We wake up covered in our therapist's blood, but then we're back to reality and he's giving us our shot as normal. We leave for our next mission in this mansion, and we finally have another face-to-face encounter with blue hair guy, and we fight through some waves of people. We encounter that room we kept glitching out of a minute ago, and then we shut the power off to get past a detector. We kill a robber. Probably shouldn't have done that. He wasn't doing anything wrong. And then as we clear a room and we're going through the replay, we get blown up, even though this is a room we already cleared. We wake up from that explosion tied to a chair in some kind of warehouse, and we keep getting killed over and over again by this guy who we've learned is named V. Really, it's a good thing he keeps killing us, because we just reset in this chair again, and we can really confuse him. In fact, eventually we learn that he's going on a date, and we're given the option to say, I bet she's ugly. No reason to say that, no reason for her to catch a stray. But we really start to confuse him. He doesn't understand how we keep doing this, until eventually he realizes that we're not here for this drug that he's trying to make or figure out. We're already on it, and that's how we keep going back in time, and we know all of this stuff that we shouldn't possibly be able to know the answer to, which then reveals in the darkness here that there's 2 more guys, Mr. Kissy Face, the pink mask, and Al-Qasim, the creator of this drug called Kronos that we've just learned about. V goes on to kill poor Al-Qasim here, but despite his kinda homicidal tendencies, he just can't bring himself to kill as many people as we do. We're kind of a professional at this sort of thing, and it's really getting under his skin that we won't work with him, we won't team up. We're kind of a lone wolf sort of situation. And eventually he just gives up trying, and we get into a fight with Mr. Kissy Face here. No weapon, but we manage to get our sword back, and we have a fight with him. It's actually not too bad. It's one of the easier bosses in the game here. And after that, we jump outside to a little cutscene between this swords person named Snow and V here. We learn that V and Snow are employed by the same person. They have the same boss, and V's probably gonna get rewarded for this great kill he got on the dragon. Really, Kissy Face would have done it, but, you know, I guess the boss doesn't need to know that. We see V use some ninja magic to warp out of here, and V's just trying to smoke a cigarette when we throw another guard out the window. Love doing that trick. And we chase him down when the screen scrolls to the side and we find that he's on a motorcycle. So naturally we hop on too, and it's time for one of these weird sequences where we're doing a driving scene for no reason, but it's actually pretty fun. We eventually hunt V down and knock him off the motorcycle, but he gets on a helicopter, and it takes me far longer than it really should to realize that we're not just trying to dodge, we're trying to hit bullets back into this helicopter. But eventually we knock it down, and we see that V's been knocked down with it. But we approach and have a conversation about how it's over, and we finally got him. Then we see some more text from above that says, "I'm not the dragon?" And in fact, this guy is the dragon, who we've never seen before. That's weird. After we flee the scene, we receive word from our therapist complaining that we missed our appointment, and that they realize the reason that we did when they see that there's a ton of destruction all over the highway, and he informs us we should go directly home. So naturally, we go hang out at a bar for a while with a couple of soldiers from the war that we fought in, and they tell us about these psychic super soldiers that were just massacring fields of enemies because they could see the future or something. Anyway, we return home from the bar back to our apartment. We encounter the little girl again, but she's probably not saying much that interests us, so we go on ahead, go to sleep, and when we go to leave the next day, we find that she's been knocking on the door, and she thinks we're mad at her because we didn't really interact with her last night. She tells us her dad had some friends over and she didn't really have anywhere to go, so she was looking for us. And she tells us she didn't eat anything, so we invite her to stay the day at our house. After that, we return to our therapist's office where we're really getting laid into about all of these deaths across the 3rd District and how we've really started to become out of control after such a promising start. And we tell him that apparently we're not the dragon people keep talking about on TV because we met the real dragon yesterday, and he was after V, and we didn't really get much other than that. We had to get away from the big fight scene. Mr. Therapist changes his plans for the day and sends us after this dragon. So we find out where he's hiding, in the back of a casino, so naturally we use our time warping powers to win a couple rounds of roulette. And eventually we get the 100,000 tokens we need to get through the guard here and into the back of the studio, where we encounter the original dragon, apparently, as well as this guard here wearing green and has a gun. We have a brief fight sequence with them where we take them down, and then when we go to move on to the next level, we get another one of these sequences where time has kind of altered itself. So she must be on Chronos too? We recover some tapes from the table here of the prison security breach. We encounter a couple guards, and we go to make our escape. After fighting through several waves of enemies, we eventually get completely surrounded by the police, and they tell us to get on our knees and put our hands up. And it seems like we really have nowhere to go, and we don't until things start to fade. And it's been 3 days. The golden mask and the silver mask of comedy and tragedy are upon us, and they tell us it's time for us to make our choice. It actually seems that the police here can see comedy and tragedy, but we shouldn't worry too much about that, because our choice is to kill those around us in pursuit of our own life, or to kill ourselves and save all of those lives around us. So naturally, first I choose to kill myself and save all of these innocent people, and when that happens, credits roll. And we unlock an achievement here called The End, but naturally this isn't really the most satisfying ending, so we go on to reload that save and select that we choose to live from this point forward. And, well, what happens next isn't great. The choice to save ourselves here is clearly the correct one from a gameplay point of view. We wouldn't have got any more of the story if we chose otherwise, but in the world, I mean, we're clearly killing a lot of people, so maybe we're the bad guys? I mean, look at how those guys died. That's horrible. Anyway, we go on to get another call in from our therapist who's really quite upset with us about these absolute waves of people we've killed. Really, there were a lot that were cut. But we go on back to our apartment and we meet up with the little girl again. She's cleaned our apartment up and she's asking questions about this prison tape we recovered. But naturally we can't really show her those, so we decide to go out to a movie store and pick up some old samurai tapes we had ordered. And despite her asking, no, we can't get any cartoons. So we bring her back home and make her watch these horrible samurai films until she falls asleep, and we eventually put the prison tape in when we get a weird cut here, and we take over the dragon here, who's broken into this prison, and we see him have this encounter with the guy in the prison that we were sent to kill, and he gets the information we need about Al-Qasim and Leon, the creator of Kronos, but unfortunately this guy's outlived his usefulness, and it's time for him to die as well. That little trip back through the prison unlocks us achievement number 6, the dragon tapes, and on our way to the therapist the next day, we get a call to go take out Leon Vol Alvensplint. So we make our way into his base, and we encounter him on a series of TVs, and he informs us that he has some sort of trial that we're going to have to go through to meet him in the end, and we won't make it. But this area has the added challenge that we'll be getting sniped at while clearing all of the levels, so in addition to the normal enemies, we'll also have that to contend with. But in the end, we make it to a final chamber where he proposes a number of tests for us, including some crushing machines, waves of enemies, and some laser puzzles. But once we get through all of that, we receive the information about how Kronos affects different users, and we learn that we're something called a gamma null, and the rate of survival for a challenge like this would be 100%, so we clearly must be. We go ahead and move on. We learn that as a gamma null, we've been given Kronos for a really long time, and that's why we have this mastery of time and combat. We get a brief glimpse at the last storage of Kronos that he has in his possession, but naturally he doesn't want us to get our hands on that, so it gets killed. We make our way to his chamber, and we free him from this little pod he's been installed in for so long, and when he comes out, he's kind of a Slimer type creature, and that's super gross, so we decide to go ahead and head out back to our house where we meet up with the little girl again, and we make our way up to the rooftop where we look at the beautiful city in front of us, and she tells us that she just wants to stay up here for a little while longer in the hopes the men in the masks don't come back, which is concerning. We meet back up with our therapist, this time armed with the knowledge of what we are and how we were created, challenging him about the things we learned from Leon, primarily why he didn't tell us the reason we're on this drug in the first place, which is what we really need to know, and why do these flashbacks keep happening to us, most importantly. And he tells us that we were never supposed to know, and we were really trained from birth to be these super soldiers for the war. We learned that there were no records of our existence prior to joining the super soldier program, so we had probably lived a presumably very normal life, and our skill on the drug can probably contributed to our early introduction to it and our psychopathy, he said? Anyway, we learned that most people die when they run out of Kronos, but there's plenty available for us, so naturally we take our hit here from the therapist and we go about our day. We open up our next dossier here and see that we're tasked with clearing out the bunker of Al-Qasim that has all the data on Kronos, but as we approach the desk to enter the bunker, we find that our cosplay friend from the hotel is pulling double duty, and she can't let us in because she may have accidentally let the dragon into the hotel. So she needs to see our ID card before we can get in, but we don't have an ID card. We simply have a trap card. So naturally, being the big anime fan that she is, we challenge her to a duel, and the winner gets to get what they want. So naturally, being the Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro that I am, I go ahead and smoke her ass. And that nets us a nifty little achievement, number 7 here, that has a very long name, including some big words: Forbidden Ultimate Danger Tempest-Eyed, and then I just put a plus sign, because there's a lot more text to read. But great little Easter egg there. So we make our way through the bunker levels, and when we get to the end, we enter an elevator where we are exploded by a man standing there, and we go back into our dream world where we're playing, scientist runs in, we hide, scientist is killed, and then we're dropped back down a shaft and clear some more levels of enemies. When we get to the end, we face off against the person in green again that we fought back in the casino. Naturally, we fight our way through her and a couple rounds of enemies, and eventually, right when we have her beat, she decides to blow the floor up and drop us into the very bunker we were trying to get to. We learn that they and 15, who we know as the dragon, were being paid in Kronos by Al-Qasim to do his bidding, and after a brief little fight with this person, they inform us to kill the people who did this to us, trapping us in this loop. And so naturally we take her head off and use it on the retinal scanner to enter this vault where we see a mother and 2 children. But when we approach, we only see ourselves. As a finely tuned killing machine, we're tasked to kill whoever's here, so naturally we see that our only option is kill the child. After acting on what the voices have told us, we return to our therapist's office, who is attempting to flee from being associated with us, and we finally get our revenge on all of those mean things he said to us. After we begin exacting our revenge, he begins to beg just to let him go, and he offers us all the Kronos we could ever want or need, as there is enough of a supply for us at least. Once we finally finish him off, we take the Kronos and pump it up, and we go through his things and find a dossier that's been prepared on us, Subject 0. And then we go ahead and search his body and find a government ID card that we can maybe use later. When we return to our apartment this time, we find that it's been pretty roughed up with a note that says "one life for another." And when we go out in the hallway, we find that our neighbor's house has been ransacked too, and he's been killed. So we ask about his daughter, the little girl we've been hanging out with, and we're told that he definitely didn't have a daughter, and he lived alone. So the natural response here is, since we asked the police a question, of course we're gonna have to come down to the station and get some questioning done. But I'm not really interested in that, so we're gonna go ahead and escape, because these guys stand no chance. Following this great escape, we get a cutscene from 7 years ago, and it's the dream again, but this time it's a little different. We see the words in full, and we hide under the bed. The soldier comes in to access the machine and does what they will with it. But this time we see that the soldier breaks the machine, picks up the little Leviathan toy, and takes it with them as they walk outside of this building. And we see some more of the landscape around us out in a field. We see the soldier pick up a phone and say, "This is 0, target neutralized," which can only really mean one thing that gets revealed right here when we take the costume off. And we see that that wasn't us. We're the soldier, not the child. Then we get into some post-story lore, Snow reporting to the boss that V has been killed by the dragon, and we learn that Snow and Employer know of both 15's existence and our own now, which gives some setup for the potential sequel of this game that was promised a little while ago, but still has yet to come out. We get one final cutscene here of the 2 smiling masks sitting with the little girl who lived in our apartment building with us so briefly. And we see the scene fade to black here as we go into our final credit sequence, showing off our 8th achievement to be continued and unlocking hard and speedrun modes, but we're far from done. We have 14 achievements remaining, including Prism Key, Don't Hang Up, Feline Persuasion, Master Key, What a Bad Idea, Refuse Medication, Party Animal, Phoenix Key, Savant Key, Secret Hunter, Funny Prank, Psychotherapy, Gold Medal, and Hard Mode. So, let's get right into it. First, we run left instead of right and pick up the Prism Key. Then, we refuse to answer this phone call from the beginning of the game, just spamming hang up repeatedly, and eventually we unlock achievement number 10, Don't Hang Up. For achievement 11, we go back to another familiar area where we pet this cat repeatedly. We almost got this on accident, but we actually needed to pet the cat until it left, which unlocks us the achievement Feline Persuasion. After fighting our way through the hotel, we can throw this statue at our target before they turn around and jump themselves, and pick up the master key, and then get the achievement What a Bad Idea for jumping off the balcony as well. Next up, in a meeting with our therapist after the Electrohead mission, we have a little conversation with him about the drugs that we've been on, and we decide to refuse the medication that we've been offered, which unlocks the achievement aptly named Refuse Medication after getting the information about what it was early. Next up is another two-parter. We give V our sword to cut his drugs when he asks, and then later we retrieve it in Studio 51. Back to the mansion, we wait for the robber to leave, and then we pick up the bag that he left behind. Next up, we unlock the 17th and 18th achievement by avoiding waking Leon up in this first room and all subsequent rooms by avoiding setting off the cameras. Then we make it down to his chrono supply here where we pick up the Savant key, and we also unlock the achievement Secret Hunter for getting all of the keys in addition. Next up is an easy one. We grab this Molotov from the bunker while we're clearing it out, throw it against the wall of the elevator, and kill ourselves for number 19. Then finally, to wrap up this second playthrough, we get a good fight here against the secret boss of the game, the therapist. He informs us that Kronos isn't the only drug the government made for the war, and he's on some too. We go through a couple stages of some pretty trippy boss fights, and eventually we get to his final stage, which is essentially just a Binding of Isaac boss fight, so that's not too bad. And once we finally kill through all of that, we warp back into the office to find him dead, and we unlock the psychotherapy achievement. The penultimate achievement here is Gold Medal, which involves beating the game on a speed run in less than 29 minutes. And after about 5 hours of attempts, I finally do it. We face the final boss here, excluding the secret boss. You don't have to do that for a speed run. And we manage to chop the head off, open the door, and that should take us into the final screen here that will show us the stats for the run that ended up being pretty good, but it took me many hours to get this good at the speed run. And then finally, one more time with this final boss, this time in hard mode. You'll notice moving quite a bit quicker, there's more going on the screen, but the bosses in hard mode were definitely the easiest part. The individual rooms took quite a bit of time. You can see up in the top right there, this run itself is almost 5 hours as well, and these two final achievements took me over half the time of my total time logged. And here you can see for this final achievement, I died 2,671 times. So in conclusion here, it took me a total of 19.6 hours to finish 100% in Katana 0, and over half of that time was put into the final two achievements, Gold Medal and Hard Mode. I'm really glad I picked this game back up. It was a lot of fun. If a second one comes out or DLC comes out eventually, I'll definitely be checking that out. It was a great time, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'd like to do some more videos like this, so please let me know in the comments down below. Thanks.